What's going on, everyone? Nico here with the Wooden Spoon, and I'm very excited for this episode of The Sit Down. I'm followed by fellow Italian American and singer songwriter Chris Ruggiero. Ruggiero. How does everybody pronounce it?
Well, everybody pronounces it different, but
Yeah,
actually the real pronunciation would be Ruggiero.
Ruggiero. What's the craziest pronunciation? Because I know Nico Toliano. I've gotten Toliano, Toliano, Taliano.
No, we used to get the substitutes in school sometimes, and they would say things that I wouldn't even say that, I'm present because it wasn't my name. They were talking about me. I thought it was some other Chris that was in the class. Like
That's awesome.
Ruggiero, Reggie, something. I don't even know what they would say.
I know. Crazy. There's also, I think there's a Sopranos episode, Mr. Ruggiero's Neighborhood. That just reminded me of that. But anyways,
It probably is. And I'm surprised I haven't seen it yet because that's my favorite show.
I know. I think, don't quote me. I want to say season 3, but whatever. Nonetheless, how are you doing, man? How's it going?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, good. How's like getting out of almost pandemic life? How was this whole past? I'm sure it was tough for you. I know I talked to a lot of the singers, the performers, and they just feel all cooped up.
Of course. Well, for me, it's tough because, one of my favorite things to do is to be on stage and perform. And obviously, we haven't been able to do much of that at all during the pandemic. But it's kind of been a little bit of a blessing in disguise in some way because I've been able to use a lot of that time to work on my show, which I never would have had before. I mean, I work like 5 days a week now on new songs, and it takes up a lot of time, but I love it. And I'm so fortunate now that I've had the time to spend with my manager and really work on the show. And, when I sang on PBS a couple of years ago, a lot of people don't even know, but that was like one of the first times I was ever on stage. And
Wow.
I had no time at all to, prepare for the show. I didn't even really know what was going on. I had no idea that it was going to be a televised TV special. So I literally walked in that day, um, and I just thought I was doing another oldies show. I
Mhm.
had no idea at all that it was going to be on TV. So now that I have all this time and I have nothing to do, I spend it on what I definitely should be doing, the whole look, the onstage look, the stage presence. And so, yeah.
That's cool. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think that's you got to take advantage of every situation, of course. And
Sure.
I think the people that are going to come out the best out of the whole pandemic, everything, is the people that have taken the time to take a step back, do some reflections, and start preparing for the future. And I'm very excited to see what you have planned in the future. But like, let's take it all the way back, I guess, to start off the podcast. So, like, when was the first time you like got into music, or I guess your origin story per se?
Sure. So when I was about 12 years old, I was in my grandpa's car and we were on the way to my little league baseball game.
Mm.
And he had a CD popped in the CD player, and it happened to be his friend Larry Chance and the Earl CD. And the song that was playing was called "On the Streets of the Bronx." Now, I don't know if you know the song. It
That's
was in
the
it
best
was in
song
the
ever.
Bronx Tale, the real
Yep.
slow version. But Larry Chance and the Earls, they made a real more upbeat version, and it was like boom, 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 and that's how it started. So I heard this, and I was like, "Poppy, what is that?" I never heard this before in my life, and that kind of thing. And he said, "Oh, that's doo-wop." I said, "What's doo-wop?" I had no idea. Until I was 12 years old, I was never into music at all. I mean, ever. There was always music playing around my house. My mom always had on the Frank Sinatra stuff, Dean Martin, Frankie Valli, Paul Anka. But I guess I never really paid attention to it too
Mhm.
much. And like I said, until I was 12. And after that baseball game that day, I went home and I looked up every possible song that I could find that had anything to do with doo-wop. Um, I started Paul Anka,
Mhm.
Johnny Maestro and the Crests, Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, the Duprees, the classics, everything. And then it just kind of spiraled from there. And I went from one thing to the other, and I just somehow learned all these songs as if I actually was born back then.
So
It's kind
cool.
of weird because there's not like one song that I don't know.
Mhm.
So
That's
maybe
awesome. That's
that's life.
awesome because I feel like a lot of people, especially growing up Italian American, we're all so familiar with this music. I mean, you more so than anybody, especially almost a generation behind too with the doo-ups and everything. But it kind of just like you saying that reminded me of a funny story. I was in I want to say first grade, and Catholic school. So like really small class, like 15, 20 kids. And my teacher started playing the song, and she goes, if anybody could tell me who sings this song, she pulled out $1, which everybody went crazy because it's in first grade, who like, oh, we're going to win $1. We're going to win $1. And so
That's when $1 meant something.
yeah, right. Today they'd be giving Bitcoin, but what?
Yeah.
But so she's like, $1 if anybody could tell me who sings this song. And like right off the bat, I kind of knew it, but I was like shy. I didn't want to like say anything. And then everyone's guessing like current singers. I'm trying to even think of anybody current. This was 2000, maybe the year 2000, 2001. And then everyone's singing, I don't know, like Backstreet Boys. I can't even remember. I couldn't tell you what the guesses were. And then I raised my hands. I go, that's Andrea Bocelli. And then she's like, yep, that's it. They played Conte Partio. And I went up and got the $1. So it's definitely, I could relate to growing up in the old school music from my nonna, my mom, everything like that. So it was
without a doubt.
Yeah. So you get into this music, you start learning all of it. And then when did you realize, I'm pretty fascinated by this. When did you realize you had a really good voice?
I don't know, about maybe 2 days ago. My problem was that I was always so nervous that I never wanted to sing in front of anybody. I mean, even in school choir, I never wanted to sing because I sounded like a girl. So I was always shy to sing because I was embarrassed that I sounded like a girl. And then I'd say when I was in high school, my teacher made me join the men's choir. I didn't want anything to do with it at all.
Oh, so in high school.
So in high school, really more. That's when I actually sang in front of people for the first time, because I had to in the men's choir, and I was so nervous. I mean, the first day I didn't even want to go to class. I almost skipped class because I didn't want to sing in front of anyone. But make a long story short, I ended up singing "In the Still of the Night" with the men's choir, which is a song by the Five Satins, and it was one of the first songs I ever learned. And we did that song in a doo-wop show that we had at my school. And I was the one that put together the doo-wop show. I always wanted to put together a doo-wop show since I was little. So the Lions Club helped me out. We put together this show, and the men's choir sang on it, and I ended up singing. So that was actually the first show that I ever sang on in front of anyone.
So cool. So cool. So that was sure, that was a nice homage to your grandfather too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he loved it. And
he got to go and you got to see it and everything.
Oh yeah, he wouldn't miss a show at all.
So great. Awesome. So I mean, after that, I mean, was it like was it that like the moment like, okay, maybe I want to start singing and see if I could pursue this a little bit more?
Yeah, because the feeling I got from being on stage and being up there in a suit, I love getting dressed up, but being up there and looking out and seeing that look on everyone's face, that twinkle in their eye that I took them back to a whole nother place in a different time. Was like, I said, wow, I really love this. And I always like making people happy. I like cracking jokes, making people laugh. So the thought that I could do that and just do what I love, why would I not want to do that? And ever since then, that's been my thing.
Awesome. So great to hear. So, I mean, after that, what are like the next steps? Because I feel like even if like maybe there's some high schoolers listening that have a good voice, or I don't know, we have somewhat of a young audience too listening in. So what would you say, like, because what were your next steps, I guess, before we get into any specifics?
Sure. That? I mean, my next steps, I met someone who was familiar with some shows in the area that we had. And so
what area was this before?
Westchester, New York.
Okay, cool.
So I live in Westchester. It's about an hour north of Manhattan.
Yep.
So there would be maybe 4 doo-wop shows a year in our area. And so he said, why don't you sing on one of them? We'll try to get you to sing on one of them. So I did. And I did 2 songs to tracks. I don't even remember what songs I did. I think I did like Can't Take My Eyes Off You and Diana by Paul Anka. And I did that, and I was so nervous. I mean, every time before I did a show then, I'd be shaking. I was like so sick because I wanted to get it right. And there were so many people watching me. I was still really, really shy. For the most part, when I would sing, I wouldn't even tell people when I met them that I was a singer at all. because I didn't want them to ask, which everybody asks, oh, sing me a song.
Oh my God.
You go
I
out to
can't
dinner with
imagine.
someone, they say, oh, sing me a song. So, and I never like to sing one-on-one. I still don't really like singing
Mhm.
one-on-one. I'd rather sing in front of more people. I don't know why, whatever that is. But so that's kind of, what the next step was. And then it just kind of spiraled into more and more, and a lot of work, a lot
For
of
sure.
dedication. And so, and I found somebody who believes in me. So that was the big part, because without him, I wouldn't be doing this.
Awesome.
So, and we'll see where it goes from here. But I'm happy that I'm doing what I love, and I'm really happy that it makes other people happy.
For sure. I mean, even just talking to you, I love when I think a lot of people get this. They love talking to people that are doing something that they love. Like I'm fascinated by that. We just had a podcast with a chef, and she talked about kind of jumping in to business for herself. And it's just like I love hearing those stories, and because that's very, very inspiring, I'm sure, to a lot of people listening and to other people ready to take the leap into whatever they love to do. So kudos to you on that for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you do a lot of Italian festivals too, right?
Yes,
hmm
without a doubt.
Any in particular that like stand out, or I guess any like places in general like performing that you like to more so than others, or maybe some of your favorites?
Oh yeah. Well, as far as Italian festivals go, obviously I love any Italian festival, because I'm surrounded by my people.
hmm
I get to sing a lot of Italian songs, and I get to have Zeppelis. I mean, I
Yeah,
love
all day.
Zeppelis all day. Yeah, and for me, I'm so proud to be Italian. And I'm like everyone else, I love those mob movies like everybody else loves. And there's a reason why Goodfellas and The Godfather and every other mafia movie you could think of was so great and became famous. But I guess if you really want to focus on who we are as Italians, we need to think of, people like Michelangelo, Da Vinci, Vivaldi, and those are just artists. We're famous scientists and explorers too.
hmm
And when people think of Italian Americans like us, I hope they see us in the light of, some real famous people who made some contributions as well, like Frank Sinatra, Frankie Valli, Tony Bennett, Bobby Rydell, Frankie Avalon. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And they were people that weren't necessarily born with everything, handed to
hmm
them. They, a lot of them really worked their way up the line, worked their way out of poverty and became stars. So, I think that's really cool. And I'd like to follow in their footsteps and sort of carry the torch in some small way.
Very well said. I do think sometimes the Italian culture almost gets overlooked because of, like you said, like movies like The Godfather, Goodfellas. Like although like they're the greatest movies, like just in a
Sure.
general sense, but yeah, you don't hear about like somebody maybe like Lee Iacocca, for example, who was in charge of car companies in the early 50s or 60s, whatever, like an amazing Italian American entrepreneur. So I think sometimes maybe we should focus more on like guys like that have like came from the ground up, like Sinatra, and made like a legacy almost. So
Oh, yeah,
very cool.
without a doubt.
Yeah. So do you do any songwriting on your own, or have any like originals or?
I actually don't at the moment, but we actually had a meeting today about that. And I'm going to start writing a little bit. I never really had the time to write,
Mhm.
but now I have, plenty of time. And I'm going to start writing some stuff. And we'll see how it goes, because I have some ideas in my head and some things that I want to let the world know.
Yeah, for sure. Do you plan on putting like the doo-wop spin on that and mixing it in with like
You
something
know,
current, like with like an old flair almost?
well, every song that I ever sing, for the most part, I think is always going to have that, maybe an older feel to it, or
Mhm.
some message somehow, from a different time period. But it's definitely going to be more modern, something that people our age could listen to. But I'm never going to forget where I came from, I
Of
guess you
course.
could say. I'm
That's great.
my my baby is doo-wop. It always
Mhm.
has been. But I'm really growing into a lot of other different types of music as well. More 60s stuff, 70s stuff now. I love Billy Joel. I love Elton John.
Mhm.
And then as far as singers from nowadays, modern singers, I love Bruno Mars. I think Bruno Mars is great. I think
Mhm.
Sam Smith is great. Shawn Mendes. So if you could kind of put that all together somehow and spin it up and create a song out of that, I think that's what it's going to sound
All
like.
right. You could take my money now then. That sounds awesome.
All right, you got it.
Yeah, those sound, I mean, like me too. I feel like too, with like almost like the TikTok generation that we're like getting into of like new music and stuff. I feel like kids are going back, like you saw it with whatever that guy Dogface's name is with, oh my God, I can't even remember the song, but like now I'm seeing like Billy Joel, like you said, Elton John. I'm seeing like all these old time singers like on my TikTok feed. I'm like, that's really cool to see. It's not all like
Yeah,
this.
and when you say that, I get the chills because that's always something I've wanted, is to somehow make the kids our age learn or know about the music from the 50s and 60s and kind of really adapt to it. I mean, on TikTok, you see "Put Your Head on My Shoulder" was
Mhm.
one of the number one songs this year. "Put Your Head on My Shoulder" has been all over the place. And I heard it on TikTok for the first time and I said, what's going on? These kids know this song. And then I go down the street and I hear kids playing it and I'm like, that's great. It makes me so happy. Even my
Mhm.
friends are singing it and they're singing songs like "I Only Have Eyes for You," "Can't Take My Eyes Off of You."
Mhm.
And I'm like, where'd you guys hear that stuff? So it really gets me really excited. I love that.
For
And
sure,
I,
for
and I
sure.
hope that it comes back even more than it is.
I know. That's like one of the main reasons. Like I say this I kind of over and over again, but that's why I love kind of putting a lot of my energy in terms of content on TikTok because it's super young and we keep like keep traditions alive like through the younger generation. I sound like I'm beating a dead horse sometimes, but like that's why like I always focus on TikTok hitting the young generation. I'm sure like you're able to hit like multiple generations when you're performing on stage at like from Italian festivals to doing stuff on social media as well.
Sure. And at the festivals, we really get a wide range of ages because you get grandkids, parents, grandparents, and so you get the whole family there. And I think that's what's great. And
I
especially that
know.
with Italian, just everybody comes together,
I know. I miss the festivals. We did it. I was only able to do it for one season, just selling the shirts and flags and everything. And I fell in love with it immediately. And then I was getting ready for the 2020 season, and then
Yeah.
getting ready for my t-shirt designs, what I was gonna
All
get
right.
for to sell, and then just
Yeah,
nothing happened.
I was looking so forward to the Feast of Little Italy in Manhattan, and because I go every year, I go with
Mhm.
my friends, and this year it got canceled. It was like such a bummer because I really look forward to that. It's just like just seeing everybody. I feel like it's my family and then the extended family. It's like a giant family reunion.
Mhm. I know there's some fun. I mean, everyone's awesome. It seems like everyone's in a good mood. So, do you know of any that? I mean, I just kind of want to know too, because do you know of anything that's planned already, or just everything kind of up in the air festival wise?
Festival wise, I really don't know. I'm actually having dinner tonight with the guy who books the feast for Wildwood, New Jersey,
Okay.
which is it's a great feast. It's not big at all, but it's 2 nights and it's in a park and it looks like a baseball diamond
Hmm.
and it's full. You can't even walk. They come
Wow.
at like 11 o'clock in the morning with their lounge chairs, beach chairs. They set them up, go home, and come back at 5 at night for the entertainment.
So cool.
And they have acts like the Dupree's there, Bobby Rydell. I did that feast 2 years in a row, so it's awesome. So I'm hoping they have it this October. I guess I'll find out tonight.
Wow. Yeah.
I'll have to
So,
look
what
into
are
it.
some of like your favorite other places to go? Kind of out, like, do you go like out the East Coast or any funny like travel stories? I guess.
Well, I mean, I like any place where give me a stage and a spotlight
Mhm.
and a microphone, of course, and I'll sing for you. As far as favorite places go, I mean, as long as they have a popcorn stand and a bar so I can have a Pepsi there before the show, I'm
Yeah.
happy. But I mean, there's so many beautiful theaters. It's really hard to pick one.
Hmm.
You know? There's so many nice ones,
For
without a
sure.
doubt.
For sure. And you're kind of in that sweet spot too in the Westchester area where New York's close, Jersey's close. Then you got
Yeah,
like the East Coast, like Boston, Rhode Island, all those great cities.
yeah, and I always like performing close to home because a lot of family come to the show. A lot of my friends come, and I mean, there's no better feeling than looking out in the audience and then seeing my parents there, my mom crying and my grandma crying at the show because they
That's
see I
so
work
sweet.
so hard and so that's great. So I like performing close to home, but
So
I also like traveling too because I see so many new faces, so many people I get to meet that I never met before, I never thought of meeting.
mhm.
And that's great because I love meeting people. Being Italian, we love to just talk and meet new people and make more friends who become family
Yep.
later on. And I mean, I've met so many people out in Las Vegas, in California when I went out there. Entertainers like Clint Holmes, the Righteous Brothers,
So
people that
cool.
I never even thought I'd meet in my lifetime.
Mhm.
And it's been really a great experience so far.
That must be cool. Now you have shows coming up, right?
I do actually.
Well, let's
Very
plug them
soon.
away.
Sure. So we have a show. It's a Metropolitan Zoom show. So it's all on Zoom. It's going to be. We have a bunch of people signed up for it so far,
Awesome.
and it's really easy to access. Then we have a show in Lorain, Ohio, a show in Las Vegas. That's going to be April 18th. I'm really looking forward to Vegas because I haven't performed in Vegas yet.
Oh, so cool.
And of course, I mean, it's Las Vegas. It's
Mhm.
really cool. And I'll actually be at the Italian American Club there. So speaking of
Awesome.
being Italian, and then there'll be more to be announced soon, I guess.
Very cool. Very cool. Vegas is one place that I have yet to go as well. That's been on the list since I hit 21. Just haven't had a chance to go out
So
there.
how old are you? 21?
24.
Oh, 24. Okay, so you're
Yeah.
a little older than me.
Yeah. So I've been trying to get out there. It's tough, especially with what's going on lately. But
I know, and not much is open yet, so it's not like the real Vegas experience. I wanted to go for my 21st birthday, but obviously everything was closed. So I stayed home for my 21st birthday.
that's rough. That's rough.
Yes.
I know. It's like you get like your 21st hyped up for 20, 21 or 20 and
Yeah.
20 years, 11 months, and then
Yeah. And now I'll be 22 next month, and I still haven't had my 21st
oh
birthday yet. But
jeez, man.
that's okay. I guess we can go back and try to do it again.
For sure, for sure. Well, I'm sure if you make it out to Buffalo, I will definitely help you celebrate a 21st birthday.
But we'll go out for a glass of wine.
For sure, for sure. But where could everybody follow you? Before like we end it, I wanted to talk about your cooking show because that's awesome as well. So how did that all spring about?
Well, so for my whole life, I've loved to cook.
Mhm.
I don't know what it is about cooking that I absolutely love. I guess it's the creative side. I'm not one to follow a recipe.
Mhm.
So I follow recipes for baking, but other than that, I just like throwing stuff in the pan and sort of making whatever my mind wants to make for that day. But I've been doing these cooking shows and putting them on Facebook and YouTube, and people seem to really like it. They tell me, Chris, I made you meatballs, I made you focaccia bread, and and they ask me where I learned to cook, and I really don't know where I learned to cook for the most part, except for certain things like I make homemade pasta from scratch, not out of the box. I mean, I eat it out of the box, of course, but when I
Mhm.
actually have time, like last Sunday, I made it from scratch, and I just learned from watching people. I used to go to my friend's house. Her grandmother would come here every year for Christmas from Italy.
Wow.
She's 85 years old. She doesn't speak a lick of English at all. I mean, not even hello. And I would just sit right next to the stove and watch her roll out the pasta dough on a 10-foot table with a giant wooden dowel and roll the dough out at 85 years old. How she did it, I have no idea. And just from watching that, and I couldn't even ask questions because she didn't speak English. So I would just watch and see how many eggs she put in, how much flour she put in. And I guess from watching over the years and watching my mom, because my mom's a good cook too, I just kind of learned how to cook. So I don't know where I really got it from, but like I said, I'll make you anything you want. I love to
Awesome.
just whip up things real fast, and I'd love my own cooking show someday on TV. I think that'd be
That'd be
really
fun.
cool. Yeah,
Cooking, singing show. I could see it now.
I know everybody says that, cooking and singing. I'd love that. I have so many things I want to sing and so many things I want to cook, and there's only so many days in the year, so
I know.
I got to get moving on that.
Well, who knows? With YouTube the way it is, Facebook, social media, it could come sooner than you think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Without a
but speaking of all the social medias, tell everybody where they could find you, where they could purchase tickets for the Zoom show, everything like that.
Sure. You can find me and purchase tickets for shows at www.chrisruggerosings.com. You can find me on Facebook. You could type in Chris Ruggiero. My Facebook page comes up. You'll see videos and pictures there, and we post all the shows there as well. And you can find me on Instagram, Chris Ruggiero Sings, and Twitter as well.
All right, we'll put the links in the description for sure.
Sure. Yeah, but
Awesome.
you can definitely find me in those places, and I hope to see everyone at some point and meet everyone who's watching at shows.
I know. Let's get the world back open and start coming to festivals and shows. I'm excited.
Without a doubt. Me too. I can't wait.
Awesome. Well, Chris, thank you so much for coming on. It was a blast. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you, Nico.
All right. Everybody else, thank you for listening. Be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening to it, and we will see you in the next episode. Ciao.